Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. Today's video is going to be a top 10 video, who I think the top 10 players are in Smash Ultimate. It's been a bit since we've done one of these, and I'm doing it because the PGR is going to be coming out soon. Since the season has just wrapped up, it started with Collision, and it ended with Battle of BC 4. So yeah, I'm going to say who I think is top 10, say some honorable mentions as well, and then just a disclaimer, this is all my opinion. A lot of it could be wrong. I'll get at most 2 wrong though. If there's more than 2 wrong, they did the list wrong when it actually comes out. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, let's just get right into the honorable mentions. So my first honorable mention is going to be T. I think T has had a really good season. He just has had a lack of tournaments, honestly, and that is hurting him a lot. I believe he only has 3 majors, and he did pretty decent at all of them. I believe he has a 9th at Kagaribi. He got 2nd at Battle of BC, which is really good. And then he got 3rd at Maisumi Top, or he got 4th rather at Maisumi Top. And honestly, the only thing holding him back really is his lack of notable wins, which will happen when you don't go to many tournaments. But his only notable win, by notable I mean people that I have in contention for the top 10. That's just the term I'm going to be using, top 10 or in contention, because he has obviously a ton of notable wins. But I'm just trying to more heavily value people in the top 10 in that radius, because I think that's, first of all, really important. Second of all, I don't know, it just makes it a lot easier. But yeah, T, his only notable win is against Gluttony, which is a really good win. But then that's kind of all he has that's super, super impressive. His Maisumi Top run, his best win was probably against Kome. His run at Kagaribi, he doesn't really have many impressive. I think Munikin might be his best win. And yeah, so T obviously is an amazing player. We just don't have a ton of results from him, really. And also, his wins are, his tournament runs that he goes deep in are, really good, but he doesn't have, super amazing wins to back it up. My next honorable mention is going to be Shootone. I think, again, Shootone's really good. Another problem is a lack of tournaments. He doesn't have a ton of them under his belt. He does have a 2nd at a Super Mbato. I believe I'm saying that right. But his best win there is Ken, who is definitely top 10. Spoilers. But then he also has 2nd at Maisumi Top, where he has wins on Ken and T as well. And then when he went to Battle of BC, or at Kagaribi 7, he has another win on T. And then he goes to Battle of BC, and he doesn't really have any super notable wins there. So he has notable wins over 2 players in the top 10, which is really good, once again. But it's he doesn't have, his highest high is a 2nd, which is actually pretty decent. Not even pretty decent. It's really, really good. But he doesn't have a win under his belt. He doesn't have consistent wins over top 10 players. He has a couple of them in Ken and T. But that's really it. So I could see Shuton being in the top 10, definitely in probably the lower area. I could still see him in there. But he just doesn't have, he is very consistent. I just wish if he had more notable wins, if he went to Battle of BC, or if you honestly included his crown run, he would be top 10. It's just unfortunate because crown happened out of the period. Sorry, but yeah, I think Shuton's really good. If you want to put him top 10, absolutely agree. Everyone in the honorable mentions is easily could be top 10. Next up is going to be probably the hardest person for me to place, and that is Zomba. Zomba is my last honorable mention. In my opinion, he closest to top 10, if not top 10. I might even regret this as I make uploading this video, because he's just amazing. And the only reason he's not top 10 is because he doesn't really have any notable wins. I feel like that's all I've said for these honorable mentions. But his only notable win, I believe, is against DeBuzz at Pound. And aside from that, while his wins aren't bad, he has a win against Mudace, who's really, really good. He has wins against Myron, who's really, really good. But every other time he's come up against a top 10 player, or someone in the honorable mention, he has lost. At Pound, his run ends to Riddles. At Low Tide City, his run ends to Spargo. At Genesis, he loses to Spargo Gluttony. So anytime someone in that top 5, top 10 area has come up against him, he hasn't been able to do it. And then also that Momocon 17th place, it certainly doesn't help. Goblin and Yanni aren't even terrible wins, because they're definitely PGR contenders. But to be top 10, you don't really have terrible placements, unless you're a specific person who we'll get to. But yeah, I just think Zomba really, really close. Honestly, if he didn't have the Momocon placement, he probably would be top 10, just because he's just amazing. But yeah, I just don't have him in top 10 right now. probably will be. Like, that 4th at Crown definitely would have helped, but hey, is what it is. At my 10th place, the first person that I have is going to be Ken. Ken has had a really good season, his best one so far in Smash. And it starts with him winning a Super Mbato over Shutone. And he also got wins over Dio, he got wins over Neotono, he got wins over Raito, who are all really good players. And then he gets a 13th at Pound, which isn't great. Then he gets a 7th at Masumi Top, which is really good. Then he gets a 17th at Kaguribi, which isn't great. And then he gets a 1st at Battle of BC, which is, you know, really good. And with a lot of very good wins at Battle of BC as well. He has wins over Riddles, 2 over T, and 1 over Shutone. Just very, very impressive. And then, obviously, his win at Super Mbato, he got a win over Shutone. Like, he started the season really strong, ended the season really strong, and just had an okay middle. If his middle was, like, just a little better, he easily would have been higher on the top 10 list. Like, he kind of just, like, I just kind of forgot, honestly. Like, when I was making this list, I didn't really have Ken in contention, and I looked at his card, and his wins and his placements are just so impressive. The 17th does hurt him, as is the 13th, but he's not losing to bad players. He lost to Gact and Proto for his 17th, and he lost to Cosmos and Atelier, or Atelier, I think that's how you say it, for 13th. So those aren't bad losses by any means. They aren't top 10 losses, which, like, do hurt you. But I have him in my higher than, like, honestly, Zomba, because that was the person I was, like, kind of debating for 10th. Zomba or Ken. I have him because, 1, he has higher highs, and 2, he has better wins. Even though he has a little bit of lower lows, I value the higher highs a little more because of how high they are in those double first places. So yeah, Ken, I think, is your official top 10 player. He should be higher, but I think those losses do keep him down, and the people above him are generally more consistent. So my 9th place is going to be Dabuz. I think Dabuz is a really good player, very, very consistent, Mr. Consistency himself, basically. And he has 4 majors, and it's a 9th at Genesis, a 9th at Pound, a 3rd at Low Tide, and a 2nd at Momocon. You know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, unfortunately. But Dabuz has had a really good season. Literally the only thing holding him back is his wins. He doesn't have a single win on someone that is top 10 or in contention for top 10. Except Meister. He does have a couple wins on Meister. I think he has 3 on Meister, actually, which is very impressive. And Meister, I could see you putting him in contention for top 10 because he's, like, amazing. But I just don't think Dabuz has the wins to be higher on this list. He is really good. His performances are really good. But anytime he has faced a top 10 player, like, granted, his losses are only to top 10 players. He's lost to Light. He's lost to Akola. He's lost to Spargo. He's lost to Gluto. He's lost to Zomba, who's in contention. And those are the only people he's lost to. Those are all, like, first of all, amazing losses and amazing placements, but he just doesn't have the amazing wins to back it up, really, and I think that's the only thing hurting him. Just when he has to fight that really, really hard hurdle, it can't seem to do it, but he is, like, I feel like it's a meme, but he is the gatekeeper, and it's for a reason. Like, if you are not, like, basically top 10 material or top 10, you're not beating Dabuz. But if you are, then you're probably going to beat Dabuz. That's how it seems to be going. Could he be better? Yes, I think Dabuz will probably move up. He's going to get that major win, and it's going to be a huge boost. It's going to happen. You can't deny it. It's going to happen. But yeah, I have Dabuz in 8th place. I think he's really, really, 9th place. I think he's really, really strong, and he's only going to get better. My 9th place is going to be Akola. Akola had a very good season. Obviously, everyone in the top 10 did, but Akola, like, he farmed. Like, I feel like every major Akola went to, he got a super impressive win. And it honestly sucks that the Invitational doesn't count because he did super well at the Invitational. But he got a 9th at Momocon, where he does have his worst loss to Camerific. Not a bad player at all. But, like, then he goes on a crazy run to get 9th, only losing to Riddles. Then he has a 2nd at Low Tide, which is really good. Got a top 10 win over Dabuz there. Then he has a 7th at Genesis, another top 10 win over Dabuz. He has a 7th at Collision, a win over Gluttony, another top 10, losing to Riddles again. So Riddles has actually beaten him pretty consistently. But Akola is just kind of like peak consistency. His worst is 9th. He has double 7ths and a 2nd. Not a ton of major tournaments, but still, like, you don't need a ton of major tournaments when you're that consistent. His wins are good. Like, double over Dabuz is really impressive. A win over Gluttony is really, really impressive. And yeah, honestly, if his Invitational run was included, he would be higher. It's not, unfortunately. But like, hey, what are you gonna do? That's how it works. But yeah, I think Cola's really good. He could definitely move up. I don't see him moving down. He's only getting more and more consistent. Like he hasn't had a bad tournament since like Momocon, which wasn't even a bad tournament. I guess it was pretty recent, but it wasn't even a bad tournament. Like his bad tournament is like a ninth place, and that's the definition of like a top 10 player. When you're like pretty bad tournament is a ninth, and you're like your mid tournament is a seventh. Like that's really really good. Things that would move him higher. Honestly, just more top 10 wins, and then that's basically it. If he had, like, because his only top 10 wins are against the Buzz and Gluttony, and while those are very impressive, and, like, it's, like, when he does place against, like, top 10 players, other than that, he does lose, and then also that loss to Camerific, that's, like, probably the biggest upset, like, loss on this list. So that doesn't help him, but that's one tournament where he still plays well at, so I can definitely see putting Cola higher, and, yeah, I think Cola's really, really good. In 7th place, I have Riddles. Riddles, what can I say? He is just phenomenal. He has been he's so consistent as well. His worst placement is a 13th at Genesis, and then everything else he's been to is a 4th, or 7th as Momocon as well, but then the other, I think 3 or 2 have been 4ths. 3 have been 4ths. Obviously, the Momocon, or the Invitational, doesn't count, even though that was very impressive. You got a Spargo in there. That was insane. But, at Momocon, he has a win over Light, only losing to Light, and then, a win over Cola, and then only losing to Light. He does have a loss to DD, which does kind of hurt, even though we all know DD's an amazing player, but he only has 1 major under his belt, so he won't be ranked super high. And then he has a losses to Chag and Siski at Genesis for a 13th, which isn't great. Actually pretty bad. Not that those are bad players, but I don't think they're top 10. Like, he's like Riddles is 7th in the world. But on the other hand, he does have a win over Zomba at Pound for 4th, only losing to Light, and then MkLeo, which is like, oh, you lost to Leo, big deal. And then at Collision, he has wins over Tilde, Quid, and Cola. Tilde is a very good player. Quid is probably going to be unranked because his Let's Make Big Moves didn't count. Or he's not going to be unranked, but he won't be very high because his only placement is Collision. But also, like, that win over Cola is really impressive. And then he only lost to Tweek and Spargo, who are obviously top 10 players. So his wins are really, really impressive. He's very consistent. Who did he lose to at Battle BC? He lost to Ken, and ouch, Ken top 10. Ouch, honestly, should be top 10, but he doesn't place enough. Gluttony, he has a win there. He also beat Siski in the run back, so that's nice. But I think Riddles is someone, he shows improvement so quickly. Like, you don't beat Riddles twice in a row unless you're, like, Light, because, Light is just amazing. And yeah, Riddles is an amazing player. If you have him higher, honestly, I could see it. If you have him lower, it should be, like, by 2 places at, like, most. Yeah, I think Riddles is an amazing player. He has amazing wins, amazing placements, very consistent. His worst of 13th, where he had a bunch of like very high caliber wins as well. I think he's going to be a future top 10 or top 5 player, honestly. Up at 6th is going to be Tweek. This is I don't know. I think this is a pretty controversial placement for him, just because I could either see people having him a couple places higher or like a couple places lower. And, a couple places, it doesn't seem like controversial, but when it's like 6th to 10th is a big deal, and like 6th to 4th is a big deal. But I was gonna put Tweek, honestly, he was gonna be like 10th or honorable mention when I like was just thinking about it like really quickly. But then I looked at his collision run, and then I was like, oh, never mind. His Genesis, we'll just get that out of the way. That really hurts. A 33rd at Genesis sucks. Loss to ESAM isn't honestly the end of the world. Loss to AC isn't great. But then he kind of brings it back with his 4th at Momocon. That's a very good run. Double eliminated by Meister, but he has wins over Sonics and Mudes, who are respectively both very, very good players. Not top 10, but still very good. And then also like Laying Fatality. Like, he has a lot of good wins. And then you look at the collision run. Double eliminated by Spargo. Very good win. But then he has a win on Big Boss. Just a good player. Then he has a win on Gluttony. Then he has a win on Light. Then he has a win on Riddles. Then he has a win on Leo. Then he has a win on Spargo. And then, wait, no he doesn't. Oh, he does, because he resets Spargo. So, yeah, that's nuts. That is such an insane run. You got a win on every single player in the top 5 except one. That's really impressive. So Tweek has a winning record on Light, on Gluttony, and on MkLeo right now in this PGR season. That's really good. He only has 3 tournaments, which is unfortunate. And like the 4th at Momocon, he also just got a couple good wins there. You could have him definitely lower because of like the Genesis run is pretty bad for a top 10 player. But I just think I cannot understate how insane that collision run is. Like that's more impressive than some people's first places at tournaments. Like it's insane. I don't know what to say. His collision run is unbelievable, and that's gonna earn him. That alone earns him a 6th spot for me personally. In 5th place, I'm going to have Gluttony. You might put him a little higher, and he's the king of Europe. And honestly, the only reason he's not 4th is because of his placement in Europe, because everything else he has is just nuts. He starts the season with one of his weakest placements of Collision, where he loses to Tweek and Akola without getting any impressive wins, and then he gets a 17th at Wanted, losing to Rayhan and Momon, which are like not good good losses at all for a top 5 player. And then he gets a 3rd at Delfino Mazza, where he did lose to Alandis, but he also only lost to Spargo Leo, and he got a win on Spargo and Meister, Chag, all very good players. And then he gets a 2nd at Genesis, losing to Leo twice. Then he has wins on Akola, Zomba, Light, Spargo. Insane. Then he has a 1st at Pound, double eliminating Leo. Wins on Light, wins on the Buzz, wins on Sonics. That's nuts. He lost to Leo once in the reset, but he won. First of all, he won a major. Very impressive. Not a lot of people can say they've done that. I think the only people on this list so far that have won a major is Ken, who I have at 10th, which I might be regretting honestly right now. But I think Gluttony is he's just so good, and the 17th, it really hurts him. It does. Just straight up, that performance alone is what honestly the reason I don't have him 4th. Just because if you're a top 10 player, usually your worst placement's like I was gonna say a 4th, like a 9th. But his worst placement being a 17th with not like obviously these are not no one players. They are amazing players. Because they beat Gluttony. But they're players that are either going to be low on PGR because it is Europe. Europe doesn't have as much tournaments for representation and stuff. And also just like placements in general. Like the losses are pretty bad, but his Genesis Pound runs are insane. And then 5th at Battle of BC without any super notable wins, and a 5th place is still very good. But he doesn't have any insane wins. His best being probably Kome. But yeah, if you have Gluttony in 4th, I could definitely see it. He's an amazing player. I just personally have him in 5th. Just because I think that Wanted loss, it just hurts him a lot. It just hurts him a lot. But yeah, I digress. We'll move on. Bottom line is, Gluttony is absolutely nuts and is still the king of Europe, even if he didn't do great that one tournament. 4th place is going to be Light. I think Light is insane. He is just so good. He has improved, like, actually an insane amount since the season started. I just feel like his season actually, it's unfortunate that the season didn't start a week before and end a week later because he has a 2nd at Summit and then a 2nd at Invitational. Not that I don't think they'd boost him, it just would make his resume look better. I think he's really good. He has a 5th at Collision with a notable win over Zomba. He has a 4th at Genesis with a notable win over the Buzz. He has a 3rd at Pound with a notable win over Riddles. And he has a 1st, hey, another major winner, at Momocon over DeBuzz twice, and he also has a win in Sonics there, and DD as well, who has an amazing run. But, like, Light has lost to, in total, including locals, 5 people this entire season. It has been Leo, it has been Gluttony, it has been Riddles, it has been Tweek, and it has been Ling at a local where he did win the tournament. It just ludicrous. Light is so good. He's so consistent. He ends it off on a bang. Only losing to like a select few people in very close sets, mind you. It's just nuts. And also like Light really doesn't lose to the same people twice in a row. I think the only person right now that really has his number is probably Gluttony and Leo, obviously, but just Leo's like the best in the world, and maybe Spargo. But those besides those three, you're probably not gonna beat Light, Akola as well. If you literally you have to be above Light in order to beat him, unless you're Gluttony, which like people could say Gluttony is above Light, but I digress. Yeah, I think Light's an amazing player. I think he's top 10 free. He's top 5 free. Is he 4th place? Yes, I think he is personally. If you don't, oh well. I feel like that's how it is. Like, when it gets to, like, this top 5 area, right, I feel like, honestly, just the 3 to 6 area, it's, like, very contentious. And then it kind of clears up. But, yeah, I think Light, top 4. His placements are really good. The only thing stopping him from being top 3 is he doesn't have as many notable wins as the people above him do. And that's honestly it. My next person, and I think this person is an easy 3rd place, and honestly, I could see them a lot higher, and that is going to be Akola. He is the king of Japan. It's not close. He's the best player in Japan by far. He's arguably the best player in the world by far. Akola is so insane. His worst placement is a 2nd. His worst placement is a 2nd to Yoshidora, and then he just goes crazy. He has wins over Shuton. He has wins over T, I imagine. He has wins over Yoshidora a bunch. I think the only thing, honestly, keeping him from being 2nd is 1, Leo and Spargo are really good, and 2, he doesn't have as many notable wins because he has been stuck in Japan. And a lot of Japan's top 10 heavy hitters, namely Zachary and Proto. Proto didn't do well, and Zachary didn't play. So that's really tough for him. If they were doing well, do I still think Akola would win? Yes, he's amazing. But yeah, I just think Akola, his 3rd place, it's super earned. Like, he's so consistent. He's more consistent than Leo, which is nuts. Just from like, that's just crazy. That's crazy to say. He's more consistent than MkLeo. It's ridiculous. The only thing holding him back is the wins. I think if he travels to the U.S. more, I know he says he's not ready to. But I think if he travels to the U.S. more, he'd be the best player in the world, just from stats alone. Unfortunately, his win at the Invitational does not count, and if it did, I'd probably have him at 2nd, honestly. That might be a little over-exaggerated, because obviously Spargo and Leo are amazing. But, hey, that's just my opinion. I think Akola, if either we ban Steve or Akola is the best player in the world. That's the future. Up next, 2nd place is going to be none other than Spargo. Spargo is an amazing player, and I just don't know what to say besides that. He has had such a good season. Like, we knew he would, honestly. It's honestly a criminal that his win at Ultimate 7-4 does not count. Just unfortunate. And he doesn't actually have a ton of majors that he went to. He has, I believe, only 4. He has Collision, he has Delfino Mazza, he has Genesis, and he has Low Tide because Gravitational doesn't count. Lucky for him. And he has his worst placement as a 3rd. That's ridiculous. And his 3rd is a loss to Gluttony, Leo, who are top 5 respectively, and top 1. And then his worst loss is to Mudace, who is like a top... I don't know where I put me. He's probably like top 30 minimum if I'm being rude. Just nuts. Absolutely nuts. Spargo is so good. His win at Low Tide, he has a double win over Akola. He has a win over Meister. He's really good. He has a win over DeBuzz. He has a win over Zomba. Ridiculous. Genesis, he has wins over Zomba. He has wins over Mars, who's really, really good. He only loses to Leo and Gluttony. And then we go to Delfino Mazza. He has wins over Gluttony. He has wins over Goblin, who's really good. Only losing to Gluttony and Leo for 2nd, and then it's the collision run where it all comes together, only losing to Tweek, but then he beat Leo, he beat Tweek twice, he beat Riddles. Just ridiculous. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. The only thing holding Spargo back is that Leo is the best player in the world. But the only thing holding Spargo back from contention of Akola maybe being the 2nd best player in the world is, I think, maybe 1, a lack of tournaments, and then also not even a lack of wins, because his wins are just absolutely nuts, but he can't beat Leo. He beat Leo, obviously, at Collision, but then since then he's only had his number. I guess they've only played twice, granted, and Akola Leo have never played, so that's kind of an unfair comparison, so I won't even talk about it anymore. Yeah, Spargo, he's the second best player in the world. Absolutely nuts. It's if you're beating Spargo, you're doing something 100% right. A shame to see him stepping away for a bit, but obviously you got to do it for your mental health. Like absolutely, I think Spargo, when he comes back, he's either going to be the best player in the world or at worst second again. Yeah, Spargo's insane. And without further ado, I guess we get to the best player in the world. You guys already know who it is, but we're just gonna gush over it anyway. It's MkLeo. Oh my lordy Lou, this guy is just the best, and it's not even like close. Honestly, it's not close. We haven't seen a lot from him recently. Actually, his last major was Pound in April, which he lost. Oh no, he lost a major. But then he has a second at Collision, or he has a third at Collision, sorry, being his worst placement by far. He has a second at Pound, first at Genesis, first at Delfino Mazza. Just nuts. His and the wins he has too are just ludicrous. He has wins over Spargo and Gluto at Delfino Mazza, and the Genesis he has wins over Gluto, Spargo, Light, Gluttony again. Pound, he's wins over Gluto, Light, Riddles. Only losing to Gluttony. And then at Collision, he lost to Spargo Tweek, and then he beat Quid. So his Collision run, where he got third, is actually his least impressive one. I guess it's his worst placement, but he doesn't have any super top 10 notable placements there. But yeah, like it's just nuts. He has a win on every single person in the top. I think he has not a winning record. The other person he's a losing record against is Tweek. And I think, does he have a losing record against Gluttony? No, he's tied with Gluttony. No, he has a winning record against Gluttony. Never mind. Gluttony just hasn't recently. So he's a winning record over Gluttony. He has a winning record over Light. He has a winning record over Spargo. He hasn't played Akola. So he has a winning record or hasn't played every one of the top 5. And then basically everyone else down, he either hasn't played or has a winning record, except Tweek, because he's goated. And was on something else on Collision. God, that run was amazing. But yeah, I think Leo is the best player in the world. Even if let's say, Akola has better numbers. I always use Akola as an example because his numbers are just nuts. I just think you have to ethically give it to Leo. He's just the best. He's the best reads. He's the best pressure. He's the best player in the world. Say what you want to say, but that is my top 10. If you disagree, you're probably valid. Only for 2 of them, though, because, like I said, I'm only wrong twice, ever. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I missed anyone. I definitely didn't miss anyone for the top 10. I might have missed someone for honorable mentions that you might have in there. And I will either say, yes, I agree, they should have been an honorable mention, or no, I disagree, they should not have been an honorable mention, and that's why they weren't. I don't know when the PGR comes out. Hopefully pretty soon. I think it is pretty soon. Regardless, though, it's going to be hype. Probably going to do reactions, actually, to the 50-40s as they come out, depending on when they come out, because if it's at a bad time, it's at a bad time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to sub, all that yada yada. Have a discussion in the comments. I always love reading them. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.